Welcome back to another episode of Light Beer, Dark Money. I'm Sean Noble.
And I'm Chris Clements.
And I am going to send my credit card bill to the White House.
To the White House.
And say, hey, what about my debt?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, jeez. So Biden, in an attempt to get young voters to come back home to vote for him, is offering $153,000, some form of debt relief. He's going to send them an email saying, hey, guess what I did for you?
Yeah. It's electioneering at its finest.
Yeah.
It's one of the most... He's trying everything he can to get around the Supreme Court, which has ruled against him on this issue very consistently now for several years. It's just like the vaccine mandates and everything else. He just wants to do what he wants to do. And yet Trump is the dictator.
Well, I mean, this is a person who's acting completely undemocratically.
Well,
at the same time claiming democracy is at risk.
Well, and what we saw, and you and I have not had a chance to talk about this, but what we saw a week and a half ago was our fair president is not of sound mind or sound body.
Yeah.
They were showing this yesterday that, he's using the smaller stairs to get up Air Force One.
Well, it has been for a while.
It has been for a while, but it's been like subtly reported, and they showed him yesterday tripping on them yet again.
Oh, no.
And then a week ago, Robert Hur releases a report on his mental acuity to stand trial over the documents case. And there was enough to actually file an indictment. However, Mr. Hur concluded that our fair president was not mentally fit or aware of himself to stand trial.
Right.
Or to be a good witness, because they would see him as just an old man with a poor memory.
A pleasant old man with a poor memory.
And so that old man with a poor memory decides to, after speaking incoherently to the Democratic retreat out in Leesburg, Virginia, decides to go on national television and show the entire world how mentally incapacitated he truly is.
Yeah, it was not their best moment.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know why they let him do it. And it is very interesting to me how much the Democrats are trying to rail on her, saying this is outrageous, putting this. But this is a charging document. He has to explain why he's not bringing charges.
Yeah.
And the explanation was there isn't a jury that would be sympathetic to the prosecution because this guy is a forgetful guy.
No, he's admitting that there's enough here to absolutely bring charges, which he outlines in the 300-page document, which is an interesting read if you haven't read it. I actually downloaded it and began to read it, and then my eyes began to glaze over a little bit. So I skimmed it really quick. And the president broke the law.
Right.
And he broke the law as vice president, which people don't seem to understand. He had no legal authority to have those documents anyway.
Right. And then the Trump people are like, well, what about us? Well, Trump claims to have mental acuity, so he's going to stand. He is standing for prosecution because he did the same thing.
Their basic...
And, I mean, they should lean in and say...
The argument against Trump is that he obstructed. Okay.
Well, not only he broke the law and he obstructed.
Yeah.
So he did probably one more step.
However, we knew, I would argue, the government knew where those documents were. To raid Mar-a-Lago, that's a little over the top.
That was over the top.
Okay. It was only after that raid that all of a sudden Joe Biden said, wait, I've got these documents stashed at the Penn Biden Center downtown K Street in D.C.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, there might be some documents
got
there.
Some stuff from Delaware behind my Corvette.
Behind my Corvette. And so it wasn't that he was forthcoming about it. It was all of a sudden he decided to go after his political opponent and then had to be forthcoming about it. Otherwise, we never found out about it.
Yeah. And sticking to the legal side of things,
of course,
we have this judgment against Donald Trump.
Oh, my goodness.
In the state of New York.
Yeah.
The judge ruled that he was going to be fined something like $350-something million plus $99 million in back interest.
Yeah, back interest. Over $400.
Yeah, over $450 million for what they say is fraud, but for the type of thing that happens every single day.
Yeah.
In the development world.
Not in just the development world, but you own a home.
Yeah, exactly.
You own a home.
And anything that's
let's say for the sake
right?
of argument, you bought that home for $500,000. And now it's worth $800,000. And you go out and you get a loan to improve that home, get the landscaping done, or build a new wing, or my gosh, you have another baby. You might need another room. But let's just you submit all your documents and you value your house at $800,000 because the market seems to say that. The bank says that sounds great. We're going to give you the loan. But then the state comes in and says, nope.
It's only $650,000.
It's only $650,000. We're going to fine you.
Yeah,
that's exactly what this case is.
And
it's frightening for business owners who value their business at a certain level, based on different valuations. There's different ways of evaluating. Now, was Trump's penthouse really 33,000 square feet, and it was valued at? The banks did their due diligence.
I was going to say, it doesn't matter because the banks were the ones. I mean, they're the ones on the hook. Yeah. I don't understand how this has anything to do with the prosecutor in New York. It is literally a witch hunt against a political opponent.
It's unbelievable. And what's going to happen in New York, and Kathy Hochul, the governor, tried to make assurances to Democrat business owners and Republican business owners that, hey, if your name isn't Trump, we're not coming after you.
Yeah, don't. They raised concerns.
So you're saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, exactly. She said the quiet part out loud. There are two systems of justice.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, Governor.
Outrageous. I mean, as everyone who listens to the show knows, I'm not a huge fan of Trump, but this is outrageous.
Well, no, we're both not like huge fans of Trump, but what's fair is fair, and this is unbelievable.
Unbelievably unfair.
Unbelievable. Because and then if you know a little bit about how business is done in New York City, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, you evaluate, these things. And it's New York. Real estate in New York is a little different. Anybody will tell you. But the banks never took a haircut on this. The state never took a haircut on this. The state got their tax money. The banks were repaid. And then you take those evaluations and you borrow more money to build more things.
Exactly. This is called capitalism.
Yeah.
What I think is going to happen is you're going to start to see some businesses leaving New York because they don't want to be at risk.
They don't want to be the next
target.
Yeah.
Because now that
if you're a businessman that's given money to Trump in any sort, you're obviously in the crosshairs. So you're moving your business to Texas. You're moving your business to Florida. You might even be, Arizona.
Arizona, Tennessee. I mean, there's a bunch of places where you can get a much more favorable regulatory environment.
Yeah,
for sure. So, new poll out here in Arizona.
Okay.
This is by Noble Insights, let me pull it up because. He's
Noble Insights?
No relation. This is Mike Noble. Noble Predictive Insights.
Not a distant cousin?
Nope. Oh. Literally no relation whatsoever. Gets confused. Sometimes people get us confused. He's a little younger than me, so I don't know.
With a real face for radio or no?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say whether I'm more handsome than Mike or not. Probably not.
Don't know. So whatever.
We'll see.
So new poll here in Arizona.
So this does the Senate race. This puts in the primary, Kari Lake's blowing out Mark Lamb, 54-21. There's a guy named Brian Wright. Don't know who that is. 6%. A couple other people. 17% unsure. And then you go to the Senate general election, and he has two different parts of this. This is a matchup with Lake, Gallego, and Sinema. And you have Sinema at 23, Gallego at 34, Lake at 31. So Gallego 34, Lake 31, Sinema 23, which is actually a little bit higher than other polls have shown Sinema. And then 12% undecided.
Well, and she hasn't even really done anything.
Well,
we don't know whether she's even running
or not.
But she does have, it was reported she has 10 million.
She has 10 million, over 10 million on hand. So she's got the most money out of the three candidates. Now, he also did a test of just Gallego and Lake on the assumption that, well, maybe Sinema doesn't run. And in that test, Gallego at 47, Lake at 37. With what is that? 16% undecided. Now, do I think that's accurate? No. In a word, no. Do I think that it is about where the state of race is, that Gallego leads Lake? Absolutely, Gallego leads Lake. I don't think there's any doubt, because Gallego is way more undefined than Lake.
Yes.
Lake is very defined.
Yeah.
And
and
has not done herself any favors.
No, she's
this
allowed that
last
to happen.
few days with a little squabble with the McCain family. And
She's been squabbling with the McCain family since the last election.
Well,
and it doesn't do her any good to do that.
Well, it doesn't. It clearly cost her significant support in 2022 when she, at an event, said to McCain Republicans, "Get the hell out."
Yeah.
She now says that she was joking.
If you go back and listen to that clip and watch that clip, she was not joking.
Well,
she was very clear that we do not need you in this party anymore, and that is not a recipe for winning.
Well, it's not addition; it's subtraction.
Yeah, it is.
And even if she was joking,
but she's been doing that since the beginning.
Even if she was joking, the people who heard it did not hear it as a joke.
No,
they took offense.
Of course.
And so she's going to have to do some work to get some Republican support back if she wants to win this race.
But God, we're starting to sound like a broken record in this regard, because is she willing to do that work? Is she willing to humble herself enough to go after, the Doug Ducey Republicans? And I wouldn't even put those in the same categories of McCain Republicans, because a lot of McCain Republicans are disaffected Democrats and just hawkish on foreign policy. McCain got a ton of Democratic votes, which enabled him to get 55, 60, sometimes 70% of the vote.
Yeah.
Is she willing to go after, the chamber Republicans in the state? And she and her compatriots consider them rhinos. We're probably rhinos in her book. Okay, probably. Well then, I guess you don't need my vote.
I would say that
because if you only lost 17,000 votes by your calculations in the last election, well, a lot of it is people just either not voting or defecting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, clearly there was defections, because Kimberly Yee won with 56% of the vote. And I don't remember.
She's the most effective Republican.
I mean, she was the top. She was the top vote getter in the state, and
most likely our next governor.
Maybe
she decides to run.
But the two things that Kari, I think, needs to pay attention to are she needs to stop talking about stolen elections. In fact, I think she should just stop talking about election integrity at all, because anytime you talk about it, it just brings up the stolen election stuff in people's minds. And so it'd be better for her to just not, because if you are a election denier, you are voting for Kari Lake. You're not voting for Ruben Gallego or Kirsten Sinema. But she also is hurting herself with her position on Ukraine, which she's saying no more money to Ukraine. Well, I think that is a net negative, because there are still a lot of McCain Republicans, McCain Democrats, Reagan Republicans, Reagan Democrats. There's a lot of people who still think that the United States has a role in protecting the world. Not that we get involved in the sense of sending troops, but I mean, this is kind of like the perfect Reagan-esque proxy war, right? I mean, Reagan funded different proxies to push back on communism while he's president. And how much would it cost if we were to be directly in conflict with Russia? Yeah, more than $60 billion.
And we made this. You made a comment in a previous podcast that we did earlier, and which will air next week. But the problem with Ukraine, and I'm for added, replenishing our stockpiles and which is what this bill does. I'm absolutely for that. But I guess what I would say is that I get the argument that Joe Biden has made a mess of this. And he's made a mess of this from the beginning with his withdrawal of Afghanistan and his funding of Iran. I mean, it's all interconnected. The fecklessness, the weakness, and what we've just talked about. I mean, he is a man without his faculties and definitely not understanding the consequences of what he's doing. He's projecting weakness. He's slow-walked all of our aid to Ukraine. He has not explained what victory looks like or what price victory or what I mean, are we going to have American troops in Ukraine? Are we going to use American air power in Ukraine? Has he addressed Putin in a way where Putin fears our reprisals? No. And so the concern is, okay, here's another 60 billion, and then there's going to be another 120 billion. And what is victory? And what does it look like? And can anybody explain it? Because nobody, I mean, Putin killed his greatest political rival this week while in prison. Anyone other than maybe Tucker Carlson, thinks that Putin is a thug, and I would fear for Tucker's life at this point.
Well, it's a good thing he's back from from Soviet Russia.
Yeah, because it is Soviet Russia. I've always maintained that the Cold War never ended. It just entered into a really interesting phase of, dodge and parry, but it's never really ended. And Putin is a brutal piece of garbage.
Yeah, it certainly came back in the sense of Putin because he, as former KGB, he was bringing, he was definitely different than Yeltsin.
Well, and every president, I heard this in a podcast the other day, that every president has tried to placate this guy in one way, shape, or form. I don't think Trump, to his credit, tried to placate him. He wasn't a Russian stooge like everybody says. I think he told Putin exactly what was going to happen to him if things didn't go America's way. And Putin seemed to believe him.
Yeah. I think there's a reason that Putin said he would prefer Biden to be the next president because he knows he can get away with more.
Well, because the sanctions that need to be enacted on Russia, I think Trump would do. And also I think Trump and whomever he has as his, defense secretary and Secretary of State, both of which are incredibly weak under this president, would go to Putin and say, here's what you are going to lose if you don't stop.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that he understands. This is what you will lose. Oh, and by the way, your front line is gone as of today. What are you talking about? And it will be destroyed.
Yep.
And then you're going to lose something else. And then you're going to lose something else. And how long do you want to play this game? Biden has pussyfooted around with this, and it's left people jaded and frustrated.
Right.
Rightfully so. And the guest that you had on last week when I was gone what he's doing in terms of humanitarian aid and, is unbelievable. There's no question about it. I'm afraid it's a fool's errand.
Well, I hope it's not.
I hope it's not too.
Because if it is, then
we have
much bigger problems.
Yeah, we have much, much bigger problems.
Yeah.
And the reason we're in this mess is because of Joe Biden.
Exactly.
It's not because of Donald Trump.
No. Absolutely not.
But people try to blame 100%. Trump.
I don't understand how they can blame Trump.
It's crazy.
The withdrawal from Afghanistan.
And we're talking as people. We're not like pro-MAGA people. We're like,
but the withdrawal
be intellectually honest.
The withdrawal from Afghanistan, as bad as it was, is what opened the floodgates of all of the tyranny across the world to say, oh, look what we can get away with.
And rightfully so, Joe Biden's poll numbers have never recovered.
Yeah.
Ever, because America doesn't want to be perceived or act weak. We don't.
No.
We want to be strong. And we want to act strong. And the sooner the Congress understands that, and the sooner the president understands it, the better off we'll be. Yep. But this president, as has been said many times before, has been wrong on every single foreign policy question for the last 40 years. Every single one of them. And he's wrong on this one.
Yep. He should have.
He's right. We're right to assist Ukraine, but the way and manner what we've gone about it.
But he's slow walk. I mean, it's
the slow walking has been crazy.
If we're gonna do it, just freaking do it.
Do it. Wipe out their front line.
Exactly. Get it. Push
Kaboom.
it back.
Kaboom.
It's not that hard. All right. Well, on that happy note,
I mean, there's nothing. It's just. When I saw that press conference a week and a half ago, and I was so upset that we weren't going to be able to talk about it because it was one of the most bizarre things ever. And then Trump comes out over the weekend and says something just as stupid. I mean, just shoots himself in the foot, and everybody pivots back to Trump.
Yeah.
The way Donald Trump wins this election is just to be quiet.
Yeah.
If he really wants to win, just be quiet. Let Joe Biden. Let Joe Biden be Joe Biden.
I mean, look, since the press conference happened, there has been. I mean, you want to talk about what we've been talking about for almost a year, really coming to fruition, which was, they're going to replace Biden at some point. I mean, it is
the press.
It is
the New York Times.
The New York Times
ran 3 editorials last weekend.
Times. You get
basically telling them to get out.
Yeah, I mean, that is a sea change in this discussion, and to see there's been a couple stories about Kamala, getting more injected. They're definitely she is pushing
the Wall
hard.
Street Journal editorial page writer Holman Jenkins had a whole article about get ready for President.
I mean,
Kamala Harris.
She's trying to prove her chops. She's like, I want to get involved and get in. I mean, she's doing stuff.
She got good reviews at the Munich Security Conference.
Yeah, I mean, she is definitely. Well, she sees the handwriting on the wall,
of course,
which is I don't want to get bypassed when they replace him. It needs to be to me.
Yeah.
So this is going to get interesting.
And the writing is on the wall that I don't think he lasts much longer. Unfortunately,
these things can happen slow and they can happen fast, and a lot of times.
And public opinion, as much as they enact lawfare against Donald Trump, public opinion is going the other way because they're seeing right through it. You see what's going on in Georgia with
Fannie Willis.
Fannie Willis. She's
smokers.
I mean,
she's crazy.
She's stooping her deputy, and then it gets found out, and she's trying to play the race card on the whole thing. It's like, no, you don't get to be having an affair with a married man who happens to be your deputy, pay him $600,000-$700,000 a year, and go on trips.
And then he pays for all the vacations you guys go on.
And expect that's not some sort of that's actually you're committing fraud on a federal level too, because you're getting federal money for a lot of your operations.
Yeah. No, that's a huge setback on a case that could have had some legal impact.
It was a big case for a small time DA. I mean, bring in a RICO case against 18 individuals, many of who never had encountered each other in their lives, in district court. Okay, good luck. And to be basically, greasing the wheels for your own lifestyle because you grew up with a Black Panther father and haven't been able to make the money you feel that's owed to you, and so therefore you're going to grease your boyfriend. He's going to give you kickbacks, and you hope to avoid any sort of impropriety.
Yeah, I mean she's going to be removed from this case.
Oh,
and that is going to delay this now far beyond the election. So their hope of getting
the case could be dismissed. The judge could say this is completely bogus.
That's
well,
possible.
I mean, you've got the Georgia State Senate, opening up investigation. You have the Attorney General and the Governor actually opening up investigation. This could be just.
This is a mess.
It's a mess.
Yeah. So take Georgia out of the column of threat to the president for the time being.
Yeah, for the time being.
To Trump. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about.
This is so much fun. Isn't it
Every
great?
week.
Every week.
So
much fun.
All right, everybody.
Hope you're all having as much fun as we are.
Yeah. Have a great week.
God bless.
See ya.